I kind of felt like this chapter of One Piece kind of left us hanging a little bit because last week's chapter was all about that Kaido hype. It ended with the Apu phone call on the Denden Mushi, and there was just a lot of speculation. What's going to happen next? Who's working under Kaido? What happened to the Kid Alliance? And actually, I should have mentioned this, but like the translations that I read had the panel that I was looking at that people told me to look at was really blurry, so I just wanted to make sure to wait for the official translation. And in fact, if you look closely at the final page of last week's chapter, you kind of notice that you see Kid's pants and his boot, like his foot near that last panel there that's kind of dark, and it looks like he's caged. Like those are the frills of his pants, and he looks like he's locked up. So I wonder what the logic of Kid's character would pretty much dictate that Kaido was telling them, "Hey, you either join me or you're gonna fucking bleed like hell." And Apu was like, immediately Apu was like, "Yes, master, yes, I will join you in the dark side." Because remember, before the time skip, like Apu was exploring like this random island with his crew, and these random boars came at him, and he's like, "Fuck this shit, I'm running away." And Kid, on the other hand, is more like, I can totally see Kid going like, I ain't taking orders for nobody, all right? So Kaido's like, okay, that's how you want it. And he beat the shit out of Kid, or maybe he's constantly torturing him. Maybe he uses him as a punching bag. I don't know. And the question then follows, if that's Kid, what happened to Killer? Because I really doubt Killer would betray Kid in a situation like that. And also what happened to Hawkins. I just get the feeling that right now, Kid is like super fucked up and he's just covered in bloodstains. So with that in mind, I think it's a good idea that you have Law heading over to Wano because, you know, Law's a doctor, and if like Kid is on the verge of death, he could possibly, you know, end up like giving Kid a hand out of the kindness of his heart, just like he helped Luffy in Marineford. And then maybe they can form like a temporary alliance or something to fight Kaido once in Wano. And see, the problem with this though, I think it just would have been a lot smarter for Kaido to just kill Kid. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense story-wise because Kid will become a major player. It would never have happened, but it's still like, if I were Kaido, the smartest thing you could do is to kill somebody like Kid, because Kid is one of those people that if you wound him, you leave him alive, you can bet your ass he's going to want revenge. He's going to want retribution. And that's exactly what I think is going to happen. So if that is in fact Kid, he's definitely going to play a role in taking down Kaido. Because no way in hell is he letting that go. Like, I remember, even before the time skip, like when they were entering the new world, like he came across these pirates or these people that were just really afraid. They're like, "Oh, we shouldn't have come here. It's a nightmare." And Kid was he's like, "What? If it's a nightmare, then stay the fuck away from the seas, you dumbass." And he just crucified all of them. But Kid, from the get-go, he was willing to die. He's kind of like Luffy in that way, that he's just like willing to give up his life to obtain whatever goal he wants to get. Moving on to the chapter, Chopper patches up Sunisha, and so she's doing better now. And it's interesting because, you know, Chopper has the innate ability to speak with animals because he's an animal himself, but even he cannot talk to Sunisha like Momonosuke could. So that just shows how legendary Sunisha is. It's interesting because there's actually a reference to something that may involve Zoe in the future. I think the Goat Doctor says that even though they've been living atop of the elephant for a very long time, that's not like the permanent place. Like, some things are going to change in the future. And I think this kind of goes along with a theme of One Piece, which is integration and inclusivity. Because if you remember back in Fishman Island, it was predicted that, you know, Fishman Island was going to be destroyed. So I think that at one point, the fishmen and the mermaids are going to live, you know, with the humans in harmony and peace, and they'll be able to go to the surface and not suffer as much discrimination as they once did. And also with Wano is about opening borders. So again, inclusivity. And I think with the minks, it's revealed in this chapter that it's not, that living atop of Sunisha is not the permanent thing. So maybe they might be able to find an island in which they can reside. And so that way the mink race could begin, you know, being a little bit more integrated to the rest of the One Piece world. Instead of being isolationist. Cut to Momonosuke, and we find out that he wants to stay in Zou a while longer so that he can talk to Sunisha, have a nice conversation with the elephant to find out more about its origin and its history, and find out what the relationship of the Kozuki clan is to the elephant. And Inuarashi says, "Well, you know what? I'll stay with you. Like, I'll stay with you, and the rest of you can go over to Wano." So we get 4 teams, 4 divisions of different characters heading in different directions as of right now. First team is the Wano team, which I think in terms of people is the biggest, the one that includes more people. I may be wrong though, it may be the Zo team. But in it we have Kinemon the Samurai, we have Zoro and Law, so that's a big chunk of people there. We have the Marco Retrieval or the Search for Marco team, which is led by Nekomamushi, the cat. Then we have obviously the Whole Cake Island rescue team, which we see leave Zo by the end of this chapter. And then finally we have the people that are going to stay at Zo for the time being. Although technically speaking, they're still heading over to Wano. They're just going to stick. They're going to stick near Zo or on Zo for a little bit longer, and that's Inuarashi and Momonosuke. I honestly didn't know that Frankie could actually build Dendemushis, so that's what they're going to be using to communicate with each other. You all read the hilarious Luffy and Peckham's interaction scene, because his house was destroyed. That's funny. But he used his turtle shell to protect himself, I guess, and then Luffy just grabs him and runs. What's interesting though is that they're sending Pedro along to keep an eye on Peckham's because he has some weird tendencies. I don't know what those are. That's kind of weird. But it would kind of make sense that if he has weird tendencies that he would leave Zo and decide to work for Big Mom. So Pedro's going along with Luffy, which kind of makes sense because last week we got this color page, the color spread, and he was incorporated into the Sanji rescue team there. And also Carrot, the bunny rabbit girl was also part of that team. But I don't see Carrot anywhere. But she did mention, I do remember that she said, that sounds like a cool idea. That sounds like fun, going to a tea party. And of course, if you follow the whole Alice in Wonderland theme, you should have to have a rabbit there. So maybe she's already aboard the Sunny or something. I don't know. But yeah, I think that's what the team is going to look like, the final team to Whole Cake Island. Although, in that same color spread, Momonosuke is also part of that team. And we know that he's staying behind, so I guess he would be the only exception. Technically, Sanji's not there either, so... And a lot of minks just want to volunteer to go on the same mission, and they have a lot of bullshit excuses to go, a lot of bullshit justifications, and Nekomamushi shuts that shit down immediately. So that's cool. And then Nami gets a new climb attack by Usopp, done by Usopp, and then I think Frankie polished the outside or something. And it looks kind of like a vibrate. I don't know. I don't know if this is Oda being perverted necessarily, but it does expand. And Usopp said that he was able to incorporate a lot of the stuff that Nami wanted and that she had previously, except for a magic wand feature. I don't know. But we do know that because Nami is getting a new weapon, she's actually going to have a fight in the Whole Cake Island arc. That's the whole purpose. She has a new weapon so that she can take on stronger enemies. So she's definitely going to get a fight, which is cool because it's kind of been a while since she's actually, engaged in battle. So Nami's not paying for that thing. It's kind of weird though. I found it kind of weird that Usopp would charge her for it. But whatever. Because at this point they're kind of like family. But, I understand, it's to make a joke. And then they say their goodbyes, and if you look at those panels where everybody's saying goodbye to Luffy and company, all of them look like they're smiling, with the exception of Law. Law's kind of like, Alright, here we go. So Luffy stretches out his arms. He pulls an Enies Lobby. He did the exact same thing in Enies Lobby when they were on the Tower of Justice, and they needed to catch the train. He just grabs his friends, and he's like, Gomu Gomu no, jump! I love Nami's expression in that panel when they're in the air. That's just hilarious. And I also love the fact that Brook's soul is coming out of his mouth. So I think he calculated it so that he would drop down onto the Sunny. Because I think everybody else, Zoro and Law are taking the submarine. So I'm pretty sure he's going to probably use, Gomu Gomu no balloon in order to land and, for them not to get fucking killed. I like how the reaction of everyone who's not a Straw Hat to the jump is just utter shock and disbelief. But the rest of the Straw Hats, Zoro, Robin, Frankie, and Usopp are just later. We know you do these things all the time. We don't give a shit about them anymore. And then by the end, we have Vivi. And I'm pretty sure that this is setting up the Reverie. Because back in Dressrosa, I think King Riku said, the time is coming soon. So I think that's where she's headed. She's headed over to the Reverie. And there's just so much going on, guys. We have the whole Apu thing. We have the kid thing with Kaido. We have different groups going in different directions. We have like Nekomamushi going over to find Marco. We have the whole thing with the Revolutionary Army and the Blackbeard Pirates. So much stuff going on, and I think that's really cool because that means that if Oda wanted to, he could pretty much change perspectives at any given time and the story would be just as interesting. That's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I thought the chapter was okay. Leave me a like if you liked the review, and subscribe to my channel for more One Piece reviews. Thank you. Bye.